Om Shanno Mitrasyam Varunah Shanno Bhavatvariyama Shanno Indro Brahaspati Shanno Vishnurukramaha Namo Brahmani Namaste Vayo Tvameva Prachaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Prachaksham Brahma Vadishyami Rutam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmam Avatu Tadvaktaram Avatu Avatu Maham Avatu Vaktaram Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now we are dealing with the 34th lesson, the will and the reflection. This is one of the most important lessons, not only in the spiritual astrology but also in our day-to-day life, and to understand about ourselves, what is the will, what is the reflection, what is the spirit, and what is the mind, what about our own impressions, what about our own likes and dislikes, and all these things, they will come into the picture. Here, Master is going to explain you in a simple way. Nature has never made us prisoners of her will because it has given us a will. Nature has never made us prisoners of her will. That means nature never tried to impose anything on us or wanted to be as the slaves of the nature. That is the nature of the nature. Nature never imposes anything of us because it has given us a will. The will is presented to us by the nature only. This is what we have to understand. When we want to understand something about the nature and about the universe and about the planets, about the five elements, they never try to create any havoc, or they will never try to impose any conditions, or they never try to punish us. This is the first thing we have to understand. If something is going wrong with them, that means it is wrong with us, not with them. This is what we have to understand in every detail in our life. Generally in astrology, when we go to the astrologers, they will predict us because of the Saturn, because of the Mars, because of the Sun, or because of some other planet. You are now facing these problems. That statement is not a good statement, and that is not the right statement. Planets, they will never give any good results or they never give any bad results. The purpose of the planets in the creation is for a different purpose. Now, we are using that science, those planets, to tell about our predictions, but that is not the main purpose of the planets or the signs or the stars, whatever it may be. Only the planets, they will indicate what is there in us, in our life, and what we have borrowed from our previous births, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. So somebody says it is because of Mars and because of Jupiter, it is going like this, means it is not a right judgment and right statement. We have to be very careful with these statements when we come to the spiritual astrology part of it. So, it has given us will. The nature has given us the will power. That we have to understand first. It has given us a language to understand how our will should work. And also nature has given us a language to understand how our will works. That is very important. The language of our will is understood by the sun in our horoscope, and the reflection of our truth about our will is made to be understood by the moon in our horoscope, because the moon indicates the phenomenon of reflection. So, the will is reflected by the sun and the reflection is reflected by the moon. I explained to you many times. That's why in somebody's horoscope, the sun is very strong. Sun is very strong means when sun is in the fiery signs, or sun is in the own house, or sun is in the exalted house, or sun is having good aspects with Jupiter or any other planet, then then we can understand the sun is very strong. Moon is very strong means you should have very good aspects with Jupiter and Mercury and Sun. Good aspects means sextile aspect or trine aspect or 60 degrees or 120 degrees. Number 2, moon should be in the exalted house or in the own house. And the most important thing is it should not have any afflictions with any other planets, especially with the Mars or with the Sun or with the Saturn. When the moon is having afflictions with these 3 planets, it is very dangerous. Not dangerous means the moon is the indicator of the mind and it is the reflection principle. So when moon is having afflictions with these planets, the reflection will be disturbed and mind will be disturbed and thoughts will be disturbed and mind is disturbed. We will not be happy. When we are not happy, we cannot take any right decisions or we cannot live happily. Somebody has to live happily means, or somebody is living happily means, definitely his moon in the horoscope should be very, very strong with having good aspects with the other planets. The same thing with Sun also. Similarly, our mind receives the light of our own will and spirit, and what we call our own ideas and answers are only the reflected existence of our own truths. What happens? The moon receives the light of the sun or from the will, and what we call ideas and concepts are only the reflected existence of our own truths. But here we have to understand it very carefully. But reflection need not always be true. Original is different from the reflection. Reflection is always not be true. Why? Because sometimes it is distorted when we have a wrong angle with this mirror. When we are looking at our face in the mirror, if we stand exactly opposite to the mirror in a good light, then we can see our own reflection very well, very bright, illuminating. Suppose in the dim light, our face is in the dim light, there is no enough light on our face, then we cannot see our face very bright in the mirror, because mirror only reflects. It will not create any image by itself. It is a reflection principle. So if you change the angle of the mirror, for example, then also we cannot see the right image of our picture, because you turn the mirror to some other side, or this side or that side. So if you want to have a clear image of us as it is, there should be enough light, a good angle, then only we get a good picture of us. That is the problem with the reflection principle. So if you want a very good reflection principle means we should organize everything in a perfect way, in an artistic way, with the proper illumination and proper light and proper angle. That's how we have to program our life also. That means we have to bring the harmony between the body and the senses and the mind and the will. If we align all these things in a proper way, then only you will get a clear reflection. The clear reflection means then only we can get the thought or a will from the will, a real will. Our will receive the reflection of the higher will, or the cosmic mind, or the solar mind, or the universal mind. When you want those reflections very clearly on our individual mind, means we should be very clean and we should understand that phenomenon very well. That's why the purpose of the meditation is try to keep calm and peaceful without having prejudice, jealousy, hatred, irritability, possessiveness. And if we avoid all these things and keep our mind very clean and peaceful and happy and joyful, then it is possible only to have the clear reflections on our individual mind. That is what Master explained here. And if you place the light in front of our face and place the mirror in relatively darker place, then we can see the image of our face more clearly. This is what we do when we take a photograph. What we do, we should not put the light opposite to the mirror, but we should put the light focusing on our face then only we can see the reflection, a clear reflection with all the brightness in the mirror. So let us go to the 35th lesson. Then the will and the reflection is Master is continuing. The moon receives, if the moon receives an affliction from any other planet, it clearly indicates that there is something wrong in the angle of our mind. But it does not mean that we are ill-fated to have a wrong mind lifelong. It indicates only that we have to take caution and that we have to receive the proper training to mend the mind into the right angle. Unless there is a way to better ourselves, there is absolutely no use of science like astrology. So, already I explained to you, when the moon is having afflictions with other planets, then we will not have a clear reflection or a clear idea. But it does not mean that we are ill-fated and have wrong mind lifelong. When we see the afflictions in the horoscope, don't understand that it is our ill fate or we will be like that for the long time or lifelong. Then what Master is telling here, we have to take it as a caution. Suppose, I will give you a few examples here, living examples. Suppose if we tell something to other person, immediately some people they contradict immediately. They contradict means they will say no immediately. If we say something to other people, some people, some of them they take it in a negative way, not in a positive way. So, what happens? Slowly and slowly the people around us, they will try to be away from us. Because whatever we, I'm telling you in a reverse way. Somebody is telling to us, suppose there is affliction in my horoscope, to my moon, with Saturn or Mercury or Mars, whatever it may be, it differs. If somebody tells me a good thing, a good advice, if I take it in a negative way, or if I am irritated, or if I criticize the other person who gives me a right advice, then what happens? Slowly and slowly the people go away from me, and after a few years or few months, when I see about myself, I will be in this world, in the society without any friend, because people feel we cannot advise this fellow, whatever we say he will take it in a negative way. Then we try to throw the blame on the planets, because in a horoscope and moon Saturn, moon square Saturn is there, or moon square Mercury is there, or something like that. When we come to the spiritual astrology part, we should not blame any planets or anybody on this earth. We have to try to understand why people are going very far from me, why people are not friendly with me, why I am facing all the problems in my life, why I am not getting real opportunities in my life, why I am not successful in my life, why all my trials are not fruitful. Then instead of throwing the blame on others, we have to try to understand ourselves and the reason behind it. Then we can take the help of the astrology. What is the problem to my moon in my horoscope? Moon is the mind. So if it is a malefic aspect, the opposition or a square aspect with Mars, how things will be? Or with the Saturn, how things will be? Or with the moon, how things will be? So, this is the reason why I am thinking like this. My thinking patterns are always going like this. So, this is the problem in the horoscope with the moon, between moon and Mercury, or between moon and Saturn, or Jupiter, or Mars, whatever it may be. By understanding this, we should try to reorganize or realign our thinking patterns or behavioral patterns, and we have to correct ourselves. That is the purpose of the spiritual astrology part. So, when everything is predestined, then generally where we go into mistakes is, generally we feel like everything is destined or depend upon the fate. Master is telling, when everything is predestined, fated and sealed, it is the same if we know or do not know. when it is predestined or written already there somewhere else and it is our fate. And what is the use of it, knowing about it? Anything it may happen. When it is written like that, when we feel the fate is the final thing, whatever is written there, it will happen 100% like that, then there is no use of going to astrologer or seeing the horoscope. This is what Master is telling. Same, it is the same if you know or do not know. Whether you know your horoscope or not, it is the same. Everything will happen according to it. Sometimes it is better to know, not to know. Sometimes it is better not to know. So if you are not prepared to correct ourselves, rectify ourselves, it is better not to go to the astrologer, because if he says you are going to die within few years, or if you say you are going to heavy losses, or if he says you are going to be to get a very chronic disease, it is not better to go, because anytime anything may change. There is we cannot say it will happen exactly like this. This is what I explained to you in the first level. When we are on the individual level, then only we can pinpoint the prediction. If the date of birth is correct, then we can exactly tell the prediction if somebody is in the individual level. If somebody is in the personality level, then we can say up to 50 to 60 or 70%, because in the personality level, people try to understand about others also. They start understanding about others' needs and concerns also. And he wanted to live with some virtues and help some people. Then the pattern of the planets working on the individuals changes a little bit. When it comes to the soul level, there is no guarantee of any predictions. This is what we Master explained in the previous lessons. Now Master is telling here, but the seeds of the past centuries of all nations have given us the science of astrology with all veneration and faith. With all veneration and faith, they have given this astrology. The science of astrology means it is if it is so simple to predict something and it will happen exactly like that. There is no use of all their meditation and tapas and thousands years of research with these subjects. Because they did it with all their faith and veneration, means it is a science which will help us to come out of all these problems, to create our own life, our own future, to understand the nature very well, to understand the planets very well, to understand the divine plan very well. Then if we focus on that, if you try to imitate the divine plan, or if you follow the footsteps of the great seers and the masters, then everything will be changed according to the plan. That is the purpose of the astrology. So 35th lesson is completed, and then the 34th lesson is completed. Then we are going to the 35th. Okay. So the forces of nature are working on the universal scale, and the forces of intelligences of our earth planet are working for all the living beings on this earth. This is a little bit advanced lesson, and these lessons Master he dealt very well in the spiritual astrology, and in esoteric astrology Alice Bailey also dealt very well. You just follow carefully. The forces of nature are working on the universal scale. The forces of nature are working on the universal scale. That means they are not working on us. We are also part of the universe. That's why they also work on us, but they work in the beginning. Mainly the forces of nature work on the universal level. That we have to understand. And the forces of intelligence of our earth planet are working for all the living beings of this earth. The forces of intelligences, the forces of nature works on the universal level. The forces of intelligences means, we discussed many times about it. For the intelligences, Master has given a name, Devas, or archangels in the European literature, or Devas in the Indian Sanskrit language. These are called the intelligences. They are working on our earth planet and working for all the living beings living on this earth. All the intelligence are working on all the beings on the earth, and nature force of nature working on the universal level, universal scale, not level, universal scale and earth scale. Two things explained here. They do not work individually or separately. So they never work individually or separately. Suppose sunlight is there, it is not individual. It is for all. It works individually means they are not working individually. We are taking individually, but they work as a whole. For example, rain. For example, air. The space. The sunlight. Moonlight. Influences of the planets. Whatever we call, they work on a larger scale, but not individually or separately. Then what we have to understand here, this is the thing why I am explaining these lessons means. Why? Because what is there, it is difficult to understand the statement. Nothing difficult here. They are not working independently or separately, that's it. But we have to learn something out of it. When the forces of the nature or the intelligences, when Master is telling they are not working on individual level or when individually or separately means, we should not also live as a separate being or as an individual being. Then only we can live along with the nature. We can live along with the human beings. We can live as a solar consciousness or within the solar consciousness. And then we can be able to experience the universal consciousness or realizing the universal consciousness as I am. What is the clue here? We should not live separately, separating ourselves with others in the name of anything. Or we should not think that we are independents living on our own. These two things are very important. This is the way you have to translate any teaching into our action, into our sadhana, into our practice. Right? The railway train does not come to every house and ask you to to take your journey. So Master gives always very good examples. If you want to go to a place, to a destiny, we have to go to the railway station and we have to get into the train. When you get into the train, then the train driver, the loco driver or a pilot, he drives the vehicle and he will take the vehicle to the destination safely. But the train will not come to your house. The bus will not come to your house. The aeroplane will not come to your house. We have to go to the railway station or we have to go to the airport and we have to get into it by buying the ticket. And if we sit in the plane or the flight or in the train or in the bus or in the car, they will take you to the destination. That is their responsibility. But to sit inside, to go to the station in time, not delay, that is our responsibility. This is what we call the practice. This is what we call the karma yoga. This is what is called prepare ourselves with the discipline, maintaining the time, respect the time, using the opportunity, understanding the plan, understanding the grand plan, following the timetable of the nature. These are the things we have to practice. Then when we are there, then this is the gods or angels or devas or whatever, or the masters, whoever it may be. They will take you in the right direction and they will help you to reach your destination. This is the lesson. Actually, we have given the wrong number. This is the lesson 36. Put it here 35. It is 36. Okay. Then in the next lesson, we go to the planets' help for expansion. How planets help for our spiritual expansion. I will explain you in the next lesson.